through a couple things today. First and foremost, when you're representing buyers, is drafting good offers, obviously, and that's dependent on the situation you're in. So competing offers, non-competing, that kind of thing. So run through good offers, tactics and knowledge. So things you can do during the negotiation, but also having that backup knowledge ahead of time. And then role play and best practices will kind of finish off with that. So that's our three main points today. Welcome to Tina, who's joining in here. Just saw she jumped on. So Tina's
Hi,
checking us
Tina.
out. She's looking for a team. Just got her license. So welcome. Thank you.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
No worries. All right. So most of you have written offers before. Um, Joel, you were kind of doing lots last spring during all the competing offers. What's a couple of things that you kind of look out for when you're, going after something that everybody's trying to get at the same time?
I always call the agent first before anything. Like I even experienced that like a few weeks ago, like multiple offers and like nobody called the agent. And then she's like, "Oh, I'm letting everybody resubmit new offers." And it's like, well, isn't that the point of the deadline? Like, write your best offer at that. Now we're not extending it for another 3 hours and letting everybody resubmit again. Like, call the agent, write the best offer. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. I don't know. But like calling the agent first and seeing what's going to work best, trying to write them the best offer with the quickest and cleanest conditions, and just kind of building that bit of relationship before you submit anything. So when they get it, they know you're serious and they know you'll be a good agent to work with. So
Yeah, 100%. Communication is key to even know what you need in that offer. So when building rapport and everything, that's going to be our number one thing when it gets to negotiation, 100%. And the actual offers themselves, of course, there's a lot of elements that can go into it. And depending on the seller's motivation, which you can only find out from talking to the realtor, is, different things are going to be weighed differently by both the realtor and their client. So things like deposit and purchase price and possession date. I mean, purchase price is always obviously very important, but it can be less important than, let's say, possession date if you're talking about, $5,000-$10,000 difference. So, if somebody needs to be in their new house and not carry two houses, or somebody is going to be without a house and has to Airbnb, these are things that have actual dollar value to the seller. So you need to, understand what weight you need to put on each of those categories. When you're dealing competing offers, strength is huge. So, adding bigger deposits, coming in with escalation clauses, having, the best possible price, the least conditions, all those things can be very important. When it's non-competing, you have more time to work with the seller to try to get something that works for both sides. So, when you are competing against multiples, especially when there's, 2, 3, 4, 5 offers, you might have to sacrifice for your buyers to get the house that they need. So they might have to give something up. Whereas right now, in a lot of products, depending on part of the city, you have time to kind of draft something that'll hopefully give your buyers a better deal, and then give the seller, the sale they need. So I want to go through a couple things. Let me switch screens here for you. All right, so I'm just gonna go through the basic residential purchase offer and this example, but like all of the different offers, whether it's ag, even commercial, all that have the same elements, they're just organized differently. So first and foremost, obviously purchase price. Right now, we are seeing a slight plateau in pricing. Depending on the neighborhood, we are seeing pullback on, high list prices for sure. So you might be coming down in price. The last few years, we've been at or over price, anything listed. So it is slowing a little bit in that regard. But, coming in with a good price to begin with is big in a negotiation. There's so many times where buyers come in like way too low and the sellers just aren't motivated to even talk at that point. I don't know. Well, yeah, Emily, even you had, your offers weren't too low. I was trying to think, anybody had one lately that a buyer submitted something to your listing that was like insultingly low?
No, I think I've had like really good buyers. No, I haven't had anything too low, but I think with the homes that I've had listed, we've had offers within like 8 hours to 24 hours. So, I obviously just go back and let them know, like, it has to be attractive. I think if my listings were, let's say, sitting for like, 10 plus days, yeah, like we'll look at lower offers, but they've always come in very, very decent.
Yeah, you've had some pretty hot list prices lately that are like right in the wheelhouse for everybody, so that helps. But yeah, I've seen like with my sellers, we've seen stuff that comes in like 80,000 below list price, and then your sellers are just like, don't even respond to that. That's usually the response I get. So when you are coaching your buyers, like, yes, you need to perform their direction, whether if it's legal direction. That being said, like informing your buyers the right way of like, hey, yes, we can put in a $400,000 offer on a $600,000 house. Like I can legally write that up and submit it for you. It's not going to get you anywhere, and it's actually going to get you blacklisted by the seller, so they don't want to deal with you anymore. Then you have no chance of listing. So like, is this something we want? Is this way outside your price range? If it's way outside your price range, let's have a different discussion and not submit offers that aren't going to go anywhere.
I've had that this spring with buyers. It's been like stuff that's sitting, and they kind of were doing it with families, so they didn't think they'd find something so quickly. So parents didn't have like the funding altogether for this certain dollar value. And they're like, well, we're approved for like 850, so let's just send them an offer at 850, and it was listed at 950. And I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Like, just not submitting that offer. And they're like, well, is this a legal thing, or like why won't you? And I'm like, because it's $100,000 below list price, and it's actually $150,000 below the original list price. I said, like, I'll call them and have a conversation, but I'm not submitting that offer. So
That's a good point. Like sometimes there are stuff that's way overlisted and been sitting for a while. So like have that conversation first with the other realtor. You never know. They might be like, yeah, we're about to do a $50,000 price drop. So if you submit it at 900, it'll be fine. They'll give you some direction there. But yeah, overall, you need to direct your buyers to purchase things that are within their price point, and they need to understand what the value is of certain houses. Because if you submit that, like it just gets you nowhere. Like even on my house, the guys came in like 40,000 below list price, and I just dropped it right to 700 when I was selling my house a couple months ago. And I just flat out called the realtor. I was like, honestly, this gives me nothing to work with. So if you guys want to retry, then happy to talk, but I'm not countering anything. Like 700 is the list price. That's your price you got to pay. So they had to come back to like basically list price, and we got it done. So like it will get you nowhere. Sometimes you need to do the exercise once with your buyers though, for them to give you that trust. So I mean, I've had it where I've had to submit offers that I'm like, this is going nowhere, but it builds that trust with your buyer too. So at the end of the day, you have to make sure your client's happy. You don't want to lose your client. But if you submit one and they get turned away, and then the sellers don't want to deal with them, they'll understand that you were right, that you from experience, and they're going to trust you more down the road too. So sometimes you have to do it and you get burned and then you continue on. But that's where, calling the realtor ahead of time, building that relationship will make sure that you don't get, turned away in the future either by that realtor. So it's like, hey, I have to do this. I understand this is really low, but they want me to submit this offer. So if you guys can look at it and let me know what you think, that'd be great. So build that trust with the realtor. We all have to do it. I get realtors that call me all the time. My listings like, I'm gonna send you this thing. It's not good. Like, no problem. Bring it in. I know it's not your choice. So be careful of, respecting your buyer's wishes while directing them. So possession date is usually a big ticket item in negotiation if we're dealing with people's houses. So if I'm moving somewhere else, then, I've already bought a property. Let's say I have some restriction there. If I bought a property and I need to sell my house, Well, now the motivation is faster on me to sell potentially. I think Joel's dealing with one right now where they have to sell and they didn't do a for sale buyer's home condition on it. So they're just like in that point where like, okay, we need to move this, we need to get a possession date that works for us as well, and we have a new house to move into. So like people don't want to carry, you know, 2 mortgages longer than they need to. Sometimes the bank won't let you. In my case, like I'm carrying 2 houses right now, so I had to kind of play with that too. Like I would like to stay in my house another 2 months so I don't have to move twice, but I also can't afford to carry 2 houses for 4 months. So, you know, that's going to be a big motivation for people. Hold on 2 seconds. Oops. All right, we're back. All right, deposits. So when I started in real estate, like 2018 was really slow. Like it was a big buyer's market, and everybody was kind of set on a standard of deposits at that point where like under 400 grand purchase price, you get away with $5,000 deposit. You know, 400 to 600 were like 10,000, 600 up were like 15. It's kind of, we had like, I found it was a bit more structure to it. When you hit a big seller's market, that all goes out the window. And now I think we've kind of reset the standard too, because purchase prices in general are a lot higher. So the deposit amounts are usually a lot higher. Now, there's not really a set amount per purchase price. So it is negotiable all the time. Stronger deposit makes your offer stronger because it does signal to the seller that you have more cash on hand. So it did strengthens the offer a lot. Now, $5,000 deposit, pretty hard to get accepted, period, these days. A lot time you're starting at 10, unless you pick off the rare condo that's like 275 grand still. There's not many out there. So 10,000 I think is the new 5,000. And then up from there. So when you're dealing with $1 million properties, I mean, $25,000 deposit is going to be the bare minimum. A lot of the time you're gonna need 50 these days just to signal strength and to make the seller feel comfortable. Another thing to keep in mind with deposits is how long the possession date is as well. So a deposit's only firm cash in hand for the seller once the buyers waive their conditions. So if you have a 90, 120 day, like super long possession, now it becomes more risky for the seller to hold that property before the buyer closes. So if it's 90 days out, the seller might want more money. And it kind of makes sense if you think about it, because if you were to say it sold right now and then possession is not till like September, well, the market's completely different by September. And a lot can happen in 3 or 4 months. So if the buyer were to lose their job and default on sale and they only gave you $5,000 of deposit, now you're going back to the market, a completely different market, and you might not sell the house for the same amount of money. So 2 things with deposits and being firm to keep in mind. So one is if you put a deposit and your buyer's default at close, that deposit's forfeited. So they will lose that money. So keep that in mind on the buyer side. And the other thing is if your buyer defaults, they are liable to be sued as well. So in a seller's market, it's rare to see buyers get sued. In a buyer's market, way more common, because now if I sell my house in 3 or 4 months and I sell it for $50,000 less because the market tanked, I'm going to come after that buyer for that difference. Whereas like in a big seller's market, when the prices are going up and up and up, well, yeah, okay, you defaulted, I'll take your 10 grand, I'll go back to market, I'll sell it for 20 more. Now I got 30 more in my pocket. So we've seen sellers not stress as much. Now you're going to want to have stronger deposits for your buyers. So it's a big negotiation thing. Like if you come in with a $25,000 deposit on a $600,000 sale, you look really strong and you're going to give your buyers a leg up 100%. So keep that in mind. And another thing that I see underutilized is the split deposit. So in this form, you do have the 2 boxes. So before you're firm, these deposits are refundable anyway. So a lot of realtors put all this like emphasis on that first deposit. The first deposit doesn't matter. It's how much you get at the end. So even if your buyer's like, oh man, I need 5 more days to clear some more money, no problem. Let's just split it up. Go 15 and 15. And then make this one due on or after, even like 3 days after your condition waiver date. And now the seller knows they'll have 30,000 in their pocket once you're firm. So you can split them up and utilize it. So it's like, hey, we'll give you 15 now, I'll give you another 15 when I'm waiving conditions. That way, if I need a refund, I got 15 back. I don't need to put all my money down, or I have time to clear some stock or whatever you need for that 10-day condition period, and just split up those. So if I was doing a deal today, well, Monday's holiday, I'd probably make Tuesday the first deposit, and I'd make, you know, post condition period the second one. So now if you do something like this contract's not completely closed until that second deposit's in, even if you waive conditions. So just keep that in mind. But this kind of protects your buyers from having to put all their cash out right away, and also gives the sellers what they want to feel comfortable between firm and possession date. Any questions on deposits? Now, Tyler, I know you're doing a new build right now. That deposit structure is going to be usually quite different. So just keep that in mind too. Like a lot of builders aren't going to play any games. They're going to have structure. So I don't know which one you're doing right now, how much they need, probably like 10% down or something.
Yeah,
Yeah. So like builders are going to need more, and they're also going to have a set. Some will take 5%, some will take 10% of the build cost down. So just keep that in mind too, that, you know, if you're doing new builds, it might be different, even if it's a spec home. But if you're dealing with an actual seller, usually you can play with this number quite a bit.
okay, sounds good.
Condition period. So right now we're kind of returning back to standard 10-day for the most part. 10 business days is kind of standard conditions. Some people are gonna try to shave off a couple days to look stronger. If we're in competing offers, this is something you want to have your buyers ready for. So showing buyers properties that aren't pre-approved really gets you nowhere in general, but especially when you're dealing with a seller's market. And right now in some parts of Calgary, it still is. So you need your buyers ready to go so that this condition period in here is as short as possible. Now, I will never recommend anybody go unconditional on a sale. There's a few of my investor clients that I've done a lot of properties with. If they want to go unconditional, that's fine. I know they understand the risks, but overall, you're dealing with a family, you're dealing with first-time home buyer. You're never going unconditional. Not worth it. It's too much risk for everybody, because as soon as you put that deposit in, it's firm. They lose their money if they mess up. So financing condition, if you have a broker that's good and you have a file that's fully ready to be submitted to a lender, you should be 5 days or less on that financing condition. But this is where building a relationship, like Joel mentioned, is also important with the mortgage broker for your buyers. You need to understand that they know what they're doing and that their file's complete. A lot of the time, it's your client that hasn't given them everything. So build that relationship with the broker and say, hey, we're going after a product that's really hard to get. We're going to need to put in as short a condition period as possible. What can you process on this file? Like, what kind of timeline can you actually commit to? If they say, yeah, 5 days, I'm good to go. All right, we're going to do 5. If it's, I mean, we got some brokers that'll do 3, but again, that file's just got to be really, really ready to go, not missing anything. Half the time I find is like stuff like employment letters are missing for your buyers, stuff that needs to be updated every month. So there can be things that aren't updated. That's where you need to check in, get this down. Property inspection, 5 days is fine. But again, you need to have multiple inspectors ready to go, because you're not necessarily going to be able to book each inspector in a 3 or 4 day period. And you need a day to get that report back. So we have, I think, 4 or 5 Calgary ones and a couple Edmonton inspectors in school right now. So you have choices. So if you can't get the one you like book another one. The ones I put in there are all really good. But yeah, you can move that one along quickly, but financing really depends on your clients and the broker side. So keep that in mind, have good discussions about this. Obviously, if you have a cash buyer and they are not taking financing and you can not have this condition altogether, that makes your offer very good. I want to touch on this while I have it up. So if buyers are 20% down, like make sure, oops, reverse. Make sure you reflect that. That makes a big difference on timeline. So if they're 20% down, they're not getting CMHC insurance. That can help sometimes depending on the product type. It can also be longer for the bank to close this because they have to get an appraisal because there's no insurance involved. So it can go either way, but you need to like signal to the seller what you're doing so that they understand. So this is a stronger offer in my eyes because you're putting 20% down. So I know you're not jumping through CMHC hoops on top of it or the other insurance providers. And I know you have more cash. So for me, this is stronger, but just keep in mind, because you have to have an appraisal, sometimes it takes a couple days longer to get approved. So just you gotta weigh both of those. But yeah, tell the sellers like what you're putting down because it does give you stronger. And some will ask. Sometimes people leave this blank. If it's blank, it's fine. The contract's still valid. It's just I would signal to the sellers what you're doing. All right, now my favorite terms. Okay, so up here I have a term that I did for a competing offer situation. And these will be in this module, and I'm adding some more term stuff to the buyer module this week as well. But having an escalation clause when there's competing offers is good for the sellers, it's good for the buyers. It just keeps everybody in the know of what you're trying to do. So in this one was a townhouse. I think the list price was like $350 if I remember right. And so I came in with this escalation clause, which is in the event of multiple offers, this offer shall be $2,000 more than the highest offer at presentation, not to exceed $375,000. In the event this is the winning offer, the seller agrees to disclose the amount of the next highest offer by sharing page 1 and 5 of that purchase contract. Confidential information can be blacked out. Sometimes it's hard to fit all that in. So just do an addendum if you want to, and add it to the purchase contract. I would write out the whole thing every time, just because you want to protect your buyer. You want to make sure that offer, the other offer they had, is actually a valid offer. So I'd like to see page 1 and 5 technically, and just see like they can block out the names. And I want to make sure that, you know, it's captured, like what's the maximum amount to exceed and all that stuff. I've had multiple offers submitted to me that have not had a maximum price in them. When you're at a 4 or 5, 600,000 price range, I highly doubt your buyers have an unlimited purchase price. So protect your buyers and know what their maximum is and don't exceed that. So in this case, we're going up by 2,000. So if they have 373 in hand, they know we'll pay 375. Offer goes to us, and you can change the purchase price on the contract, and everybody initials it. So that's your like easy classic escalation clause. There were some agents that were like refusing to accept contracts. That's illegal. Like they have to present every contract to your client, and this escalation clause is fully legal and vetted by many lawyers. So you can always use these escalation clauses. If the other realtor has a problem with it, then you need to escalate that because they need to present this to their client. You're willing to pay more than anybody else by $2,000. They're pretty simple. The higher the purchase price, I would go up in the actual like up bid to make it worth it. So if we're dealing with like a house, we're probably going up by 5s to make this more worth it for the seller as well. And then if you're in the millions, you're probably going up by 10s or 15,000s for sure. So just keep that in mind, but it really depends what the seller wants to see. And then the other stuff in terms, when you're dealing with multiple offers, you're probably doing less terms like, you know, professional cleanings and all that stuff. You might be leaving more out when you're doing multiple offers. When you're not, then make sure everything's in here to protect your buyers. So I want a professional cleaning. I need this looked at, whatever you've seen in there. When you're doing with multiples, you might end up with an escalation clause and a walkthrough. While I'm on the topic, always put the walkthrough, please. Like, never leave this line out. Seller will allow access to the buyer at least 24 hours prior to possession for the final walkthrough. I couldn't fit final in there, but just make sure that's in there. We've had sellers deny buyers access to the property for a walkthrough because this clause was not in there, and they got in a fight during the whole process about other stuff. Like, make sure this is in there. This is like 100% protect your buyers. And this will not affect your negotiation. It is standard practice, but just know that if it's not in there, the sellers are allowed to deny your buyers access to the property. That's pretty much it. All right, questions on contract while I have it up. Quiet.
I've got a little comment here that
Go for it.
in the past, we've had competing offers and then you accept one and they seem fairly clean. And then the buyer's rep will start adding clauses to it once you've accepted it. So they'll start, oh, I need this and I need that. And it's becomes a bit of a hassle, but you've already accepted it. So just be careful on that.
Yep, that's true. And then you're like, you don't want to go back to the other offer, go back to market necessarily as you start playing ball. Yeah. Yeah, we'll get into that. Like, when on the seller side negotiations in a few weeks, there's a lot we got to touch on as far as like protect your sellers. All right. So negotiating offers, number one thing is build rapport. Joel touched on this. Great point. This starts with the showing. So you show the property, provide feedback to the selling agent. They need that feedback. When you're on the selling side, you don't get feedback. It's the most annoying thing in the world. I will, after 24 hours, I call every single realtor that shows my properties if they haven't provided feedback, because I'm done with showing agents not telling me what they thought of the property. I can't report back to my client if I don't get feedback. I can't improve things. I can't provide feedback to my seller that the price is out to lunch. So, like, provide feedback, good feedback. Like, when I provide feedback, it's, you know, client really liked the backyard, house layout's not going to work for them because this. We think the price is good. Like, give them some stuff to go on and move on, but it's starting with that. So if you know you're going to write an offer, just say like, hey, my clients really like the layout, and I usually not necessarily touch on price if I'm going to submit an offer. But just say like, yeah, house looks great, showed really well, thanks. I'm going to submit an offer, whatever you want to write in there, but just close that part out and start the good communication early. Once you're talking to the agent, like, pick up the phone and talk to the agent before you send an offer in. You can start to get some of the seller motivation out of them. Now, some people don't want to disclose things, some sellers will, but talk to the agent and just say like, hey, what's most important to your client? Like, what possession date? You said it's 60-day negotiable, but what do they need? Like, oh, well, you know, something in the week of June 10th would be really good for them. Okay, make that work. Or, you know, they want something really long or they want something really short. So start getting that motivation out of them, even if you can't get specifics. I personally, on the sell side, don't like when people ask me why my seller is selling the house. That's not really anybody's business. Like, I would recommend never leading with that question. Because yeah, most people can't disclose that, nor should you have to. So ask questions like, yeah, what possession date is going to work for your client? What's most important here? Like, do they want a large deposit? Are they looking for a quick condition period? Just start fleshing out the questions that they're allowed to disclose to you. Stop trying to get so personal, because yeah, that one drives me crazy. Like, my clients bought a new house, like, it doesn't matter. They're selling the house, they're selling the house. If there's something wrong with the house, I had to disclose it anyway. So there's not, you know, you're not worried about that. If there's a disclosure on the MLS, like it says there's disclosure, get that out of the way first. You reported there's disclosures, what do you have? Okay, go over that. Flush out if there's anything at the property that's weird, like, hey, do you have your legal basement sticker? It's not showing on the city website. Like, get all the information from them, build that report, understand the motivation. Before you start calling the realtor and putting in offers, make sure you've done your research. So your market research, understand what stuff's selling out in the area, and that way you can come with confidence to the negotiation. Like, you need to do that. And then responding to counter offers, we'll go over that in a minute too, but just responding in a timely manner, but also not looking desperate is key. And also understand your buyer's motivation in that. So if the buyers are really anxious to get this house, I think you need to keep the discussion moving quickly, but also not kind of give away like everything your buyers are willing to throw at this property if you think you can get it at a better price for them. So motivation wise, who's done buyer lately? Any questions, like Bill, Joel, Emily, any questions you guys have asked in the past?
I'd keep an eye out for seller rights reserved. That's always kind of an area you need to keep your eyes open for, and also just stepping back a bit. I've won a few offers in the past by writing and having that conversation and writing up a nice little backstory for my buyers if they're just getting in there. That I've had them on both ends, and they're quite an effective tool.
Yeah, I agree. They can work.
Yeah, I just got my buyers to write a letter for this place in Oak Ridge as well. So just attach that to it and just show that it means a lot to them and they're serious, and it's more than just a transaction type of thing.
Kind of the same thing, like, just touching base and yeah, getting the buyers to kind of write a letter, and you talk to the agent and let them kind of know what they're looking at. So
100%. The letter thing, when it's like super hot competing offers, sometimes it doesn't go anywhere. When I feel like when it's more stable like this, it does definitely help, especially if you're close to. If you're like, man, my guys cannot go another 10 grand, like they're at their max, like that can really push you over the edge for the seller. Like, yeah, you know what? This good family, let's let them have it at this price. It still works for us. It's still a lot of money. Like, you get them thinking about that. Like, we we sold our house in the city. We had competing offers, and one had the letter and one didn't. And we went to the one that didn't because it was just still so much higher. But there's a limit there, but it can get you over the hump for sure, and especially if you're close. So highly recommend, even if it's just in an email quick, just like, hey, this is who we are, but try to get your buyers to write it, make it genuine from them. Like, hey, we're family, we have a son and daughter, we really want to live on the park, and this is who we are. So, get them to write it ahead of time, especially if you're in a seller's market and you're just competing offers all the time. Have it ready. This is who we are, and send that with your offer if you can, and just present it right up front.
I get them to attach a family photo too.
Great
I
idea.
do. Then they're staring at their face and you're like, how am I supposed to say no? They
Really
still
good.
do.
Yeah, I like it. So if play this out on the competing side then. So Joel, if you want to be the buying agent and just you're calling me, this is a hot property, where are you starting?
Well, I'll give you a call and I'll say, hey, just took a tour through your listing. It's gorgeous, looks great. My clients really do love it. Just kind of before we put anything on paper, just want to see what you guys are looking for, what works best for you. I want to make this as easy as possible for everyone and kind of work together on this. And because we are just here to help our clients out. It's not, and I just want us to work together and find a goal and make this work for everyone. So what do you need and what are you looking for?
Well, my clients really do need like 60-day possession at least. That's gonna help them out here. They're still waiting for this new build. And you know, obviously price. We think we priced it right. We got probably a couple offers coming in too right now, I've been told. So I mean, looking for at least that list price to get us started. But we're gonna have to see how it goes because I'm expecting at least 3 or 4 offers at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do you have like you don't have anything yet? So I definitely want to try and be the first one in there and see if we can work together. Yeah, my people are pre-approved, they're ready to go. Like I say, I don't bring someone to the table unless they're ready. So we can make this really clean, we can make this really easy. Um, this should be a simple process. So I'll put something on paper, talk to my clients, let them know, make sure everything works, and then we can just kind of go from there.
Fair enough. Looking forward to seeing it. Make it good. If so, when there's multiples, good first conversation. Now you've submitted, as a selling agent, hopefully they're communicating well. I mean, we'll tackle that on the selling side, but often you don't get the best communication. But if they're communicating well, I'm gonna, get down to say I've got 3 offers. Now I can probably work pretty good on the phone with everybody if there's only 3. So I'm gonna, call Joel back, be like, hey Joel, I got 3 offers in hand, including yours. The other agents are, Emily and Bell, both at Real Broker. We, everybody's pretty close right now. So if you guys want to revise, I'm going to present all final offers at 6 p.m. tonight. I'm going to get them in hand by 4, and I'll get back to you guys by 6:30. But if you guys want to revise at all, now's the time.
Do you have to say do you have to say who the other agents are?
You don't have to, but as a buy-in agent, you should be asking.
Okay.
I thought you did. I thought you did. There was something about like if you did have
If you're
offers.
asked, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But like I don't have to just be like, hey, it's Bill and this person. But yeah, Joel, if you're like, hey, who's the other offers, then yes, I have to tell you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've experienced that recently, and they're like, here's the offers I have and who they're from.
Mhm.
And then it was
Oh.
like an email, and it was like 5 different names and
Yeah.
name
Yeah,
and
when you're
broker.
getting into like the 5-10, I just do it by email too. And I just keep organized. Like, here's what I got. If you want to revise, now's the time. This is the end time. Done. But yeah, because you are allowed to ask, and if you ask, I have to tell you. So that just keeps everybody honest. Otherwise, I could say I got 18 offers and give me
Makes sense.
50
That's
grand.
fair.
Yeah. So that's the only thing you have to disclose, though. I have an offer in hand from Tyler. That's it. I don't have to tell you that it's 100 grand low.
Mhm.
And that's where I'll end up with on Emily's in Riverview, right? It's like you had the offers, neither of them were what you wanted,
Yeah.
but you had multiple offers, so they both know this. It's like, hey, I have 2 offers in hand, they're pretty close. I need someone to revise to set yourself apart. Well, now they have to go think about what they're going to offer, even though they didn't know like both offers weren't quite what you wanted.
Mhm.
So you
Yeah,
still
and that's
bid each
when
other.
she threw in the escalation clause too.
Yeah.
At the end, so
Exactly. Which only works for the seller if you can get the other one up high enough to trigger the escalation clause. So I think escalation clauses for buyers are the best protection, because that avoids, we had the situation where like, hey, we got 2 offers in hand, both of them aren't great, but you're just trying to bid each other up. But as soon as you put that escalation clause as the buyer rep, now you protect your buyers. It's like, no problem, we'll pay 2,000 more than the next offer. Well,
yeah.
now you just called it bluff on the sell side if they don't have a high enough offer. Because now it's like, oh, 2,000 more, that's only 825. I wanted 840. So as a buyer agent, like that clause is super important to protect them in this negotiation and make sure they're not overpaying by 40 grand. It's really easy to do. And you're like, well, I want the house.
Mhm.
Non-competing offer situation as a buying agent, I think you have, way more leverage, obviously, and a lot more things to talk about. So if I'm calling Emily on that Riverview one, then I'd be like, hey, any offers at hand? No. Like, okay, how's feedback been going on the house? What are people liking? Like, that's something you might want to flesh out too. So on yours, Emily, like you had a lot of people through the house. So, I just be like, hey, my clients really liked it, but we found there's a lot of work needs to be done. Is that kind of the feedback you're getting overall?
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. It's an older house that needs some love, but location is what we're banking on here.
Now I saw it's empty. So are they looking for a quick possession, I assume, but what are they like?
Yeah, no, immediate possession.
Fair enough. Now, are your clients really worried about deposits? Like the clients are trying to free up some more cash, but they are first-time home buyers, so they're using the RRSP here. Would like a $5,000 or $10,000 deposit be okay, or what do they have in mind?
They would prefer a little bit higher, but obviously they're open to these offers, what you would like to submit.
Fair enough. And then as far as like conditions, we would really like get a contractor through there, get some quotes. Is that something they're up for as long as we do it, during condition period, since the house is empty?
Like I said, the house is empty as long as it's within the condition periods, that's totally fine. But like I had mentioned, the area is people are really looking at this area. We're starting to get into like a bit busier time here. So yeah, we could definitely work with that.
Now, I think with the work needs to be done, like my clients are probably, we're gonna be topping out a little bit below list price. But if I bring you something, you know, we bring you something 8.25 or higher, like, do you think we at least get the conversation going?
I can definitely present that to the seller. But I know that he has a certain price point that he knows that this home is worth.
That was a good answer.
Sorry?
That was a good answer.
Okay.
Yep. That's a I can get the price out of a lot of people too. So you just be careful on the seller side. But as a buying agent, try to get it out of them. Just try to be like, hey, if I bring 825, like, is that going to start the conversation? Like, man, that's pretty low. Like, we really think we nailed the list price. Then I know, like, don't even bother coming in 825. But like, it's like, hey, yeah, I could present that to my clients, and I know I could probably get them down to 850. Let's say if it was at 875. So you can start feeling out where the seller's price is based on that answer, if the agent lets you have it. Now, a lot of agents, like I built rapport with, they just might let me have it because they know their client needs it gone fast. But that's going to be up to their client how they want to play this too. The really good agents, they aren't going to give up much. Like Emily's answer is perfect for selling side. On the buyer side, like I'd mostly be like, all right, well, I'll give you a call before I send it over. I'm just going to prepare it. Now, when I have the offer ready, in this situation, I like to call the agent back again. And if they're busy and they're like, hey, you just text me, that's fine. But try to keep it actually on the phone. So I call Emily back. Hey, Emily, I've got that offer ready. It's coming over. It's 825. I put possession for June 15th, as quick as possible here. We kept conditions pretty short. I think we can get done in about 8 days. And I just need financing and that home inspection, and we'll just bring the contractors in during the home inspection, and hopefully wrap that up quick. But I'm just going to send it over right now. Let me know what your clients think.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I will present that to my seller and I will get back to you as soon as I hear back from him.
And literally, guys, that's it. Like, that's all you need to say when you're sending it over. Do not spill anything else. Don't start playing your cards. Like, you're just saying the offer. But saying the offer and giving the heads up is like something you should be doing. I can't tell you how many offers I've got as a selling agent without people even talking to me once. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It makes no sense to me. Like, people will just show the house. I will hear nothing. I'll get no feedback as usual. And like a day later, I'll just have an offer in my inbox. And it's like the names are spelt wrong because I didn't pull the title and I don't put the full names in, or like the possession date's like in 2 weeks. It's like, what the heck? Like, there's no point of doing this. Call the agent, get the info like we did. Call the agent again. This is what I'm sending you. You don't need to send a surprise package in their email. Like, you're sending it. So like, hey, it might not be what your clients want, but I'm sending an offer right now. It's 800,000 even. See if you can get your clients to like at least to negotiate on this. I'm like, my clients are just they're really hard set on coming at this price, but I'm really hoping you can get me a counter. Like, I know it's probably not what you're looking for. They're gonna see it in 2 seconds. So I just tell them what it is. I've had a lot of people do that too. They like, we have the conversation and they send it and it's like some ridiculous offer, but it's like, yeah, but just tell me, it's fine. Then I'm ready. And I know what I'm going to say to my clients when it comes in. So I tell them what you're sending them so they're prepared. Now, Emily, why don't you come back to me with the counter really quick?
Hey Andrew, I just presented your offer to my seller. And unfortunately that number is not gonna quite work. We're looking at, sorry, you came in at what, 820?
Let's say I came in at 825 and you're at like 900 or something.
You know what, he is willing to work. He would like to work with you on this. But we're gonna counter back at about 860.
Fair enough. Thank you
Do
so
you
much.
think that's fair? Do you think
Well,
you're
I'll bring I'll bring it to my clients. How are we on possession date and terms and conditions? Any changes we need there?
No, everything looks good. He's very open to, obviously, because it is vacant, because he'd like to go on as soon as possible. But yeah, possession looks good. Deposit looks great. He's fine with contractors coming in because he knows that the home has been vacant for a little bit of time and needs some love. And then everything else looks really good.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll bring that
It's
number to my clients. I'll get back to you as quick as possible.
wonderful. Thank you so much.
Again, guys, like don't get into anything. Take that counter and take it back to your clients. The longer, if we need to go back and forth more, then I might start pushing a little bit. So let's say I brought 860 back to my clients, which is probably fair in this case, but I take it back to my clients and they're like, no, like it makes no sense. Look at the work needs to be done. Look at the area, look at the comps. We talk about it again. Now I'm going back again, Emily, like, hey Emily, I discussed that with my clients, like they'll throw in another 10 grand, but with the state of the house right now compared to what's sold lately, we see that the rental cost is just going to be at least like 150 to 200 grand, and that just puts the comps kind of right at the max. So if you want to take 835 back to your sellers, I know they'll do that right now. I could probably bump them up, maybe get 840, but there's no way we can cross that line just with the rental costs. And just so you know, like we're looking at this, 123 Main Street and 287 Main Street, those sold at, $1,050,000 and they're fully renovated. And we have the rental costs at least 200 grand right now. So that's where my clients are, looking at, just so you're aware. And then maybe you can kind of show your sellers and we can come to agreement there.
Of course, I can definitely present this. Again, I just got to touch base with him and I will show him the comps again and I will get back to you.
So like I wouldn't get to these comps, guys, until that like second counter again.
Mhm.
There's really no point because like you give them the offer and sit there. You don't need to get back and forth on it. If the sellers are being really sticky and you think there's, reasons that you can bring up, then start bringing it up later on. But that first offer, like this is the offer. Please present your clients. Thank you. Have a good day. Here's the counter. Please present your clients. No problem. I'm going to take it back to them right now. Don't get in a back and forth with the agent. Present to your clients. See what they think. Because like, 840 to 860 in this case is not really any different at the end of the day. Like if your clients are putting 20% down, like it's 5 grand, not even 4 grand. So like the amount of money out of pocket is not changing much. So that might just be a mental thing with your clients that you need to work through. There's no point at like going back and forth. But if you are like, this makes no sense, like it just doesn't compute, like you're probably not going to get this much money, then it's a good conversation to have the agent. Now, if the seller agent is experienced and know what they're doing, they did their research, then they should be able to say like, hey, I know what you're saying on those 2 properties, but we're actually basing it on these 2 because we back onto the river. And we think there's good value in that lot compared to those 2 lots. So we're also looking at intrinsic value there and not just what the house looks like. Like they'll at least give you where they're standing too. But I find a lot of agents will get like uptight about it right away, and then just the negotiation doesn't go very well. So if she comes back again like, hey, we can do 850, but he's not going to go lower than that because we've had so much traffic through the house, at least that's their end point now. And one thing as a buying agent, when the seller says like, hey, we can do 850, that's the lowest they're gonna go right now. Like, don't come back at 845 again. Like, it gets you nowhere almost all the time. Like, either have the discussion with the agent first, like, hey, they want 850. All right, my guys can do 845. That's what I got on the pre-approval letter. Do you think you can get 845 across the finish line? I can do that. Give me 845. Or he will not budge. I know him very well. He is very, very stuck on 850. This is why you got to bring me 850. Well, now at least as a buyer's agent, you know, like, hey, probably $5,000, you're probably fine. But like, send a quick note to the mortgage broker. Hey, if we go 850 on this house, you good to go? Yes. Okay, let's just do 850 and stop arguing about $500 or $1,000 out of your buyer's pocket when it's like actual money into the seller's pocket. So you have to keep that in mind too when you're on the buyer side. Like, everything you're negotiating is probably 20% of that total or less. Could be 5% of that total out of your buyer's pocket. That's actual $5,000 to the seller. So you have to keep that in mind. And that's where, as a buyer's agent, you need to keep your clients in check on, I don't want to go up 5,000. Like, well, you're putting 20% down, so it's $1,000. Do you want to lose this house over $1,000? Because they seem pretty stuck at 850. So like, you need to also negotiate with your own clients a little bit sometimes and present it properly, because people get stuck on both sides on like a number for whatever reason. And there's no point for the seller to lose it over 5,000 usually, but just keep in mind that's 5,000 actual dollars in the seller's pocket, where it could be, you know, $500 out of your buyers. So negotiate with your buyers, understand their motivation while you're also negotiating with the selling agent. Questions on that? Or comments from experience?
I got a quick question. So if, say after the counter offer was 860, and say you have like a buyer who wants to maybe like can accept the 860, but they want to see if they can get it lower, would you submit like, or would you try and counter with a little bit lower? Or would you try and like tell your buyer that 860 is like a good price, or what would you do in that scenario?
I would, it it depends like how fast you think that property is going to go to. If I
Mm-hmm.
know like there's no other action on that property from talking to the agent,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes just let it sit.
Okay.
Even like 6 hours. It doesn't even need to be like a whole day. Just sometimes you're like, you know what? We're just gonna back away and just think about this. Like,
Okay.
I know our offer's gonna expire in like 3 hours. Like, I'll be in touch, might be before that, or just like maybe give me the evening. Like, let your buyers think about it, talk to them more. Sometimes we rush these because we're so used to competing offers, where it's like we don't need to rush it. So
Yeah.
like on my house, because the buyers weren't giving me what I wanted, I was like, just like, this is the number I want. Just if you want to do it, great. If not, I'm willing to wait. Like, I got a few weeks to play with still. I just told her
Okay.
straight up, and I let their offer expire, and 2 hours later she's back with the offer I wanted. So like,
Okay.
Debbie did that in my case as the buyer's agent. She's just like, all good. I understand where you're at. Let me work with my buyers, give them some time to breathe. They thought about it. They came back, gave us the offer we wanted. And you'll get that a lot with your buyers. So
Okay.
sometimes just like when you're close, but no side wants to budge, sometimes just take a breath. Now, I will put one caveat on that. Waiting overnight on offers sometimes kills deals. So don't let people sleep on things too long necessarily. Sometimes they'll wake up the next day, but like, I don't want to buy this house anymore. Like, shit, it's worked
Okay.
3 months with these guys, and then they want to buy that perfect house for themselves. So, but sometimes like, you need time to talk to your buyers and really like explain to them why. And it gives you a chance to go back to the table, maybe redo a CMA for them for the area. Like, hey, let's walk back through this. Yes, it's $5,000 more out of your pocket. We're going to go up 20 grand. But when you refi, if you do the work you said you're going to do, it looks like you're going to be 250 grand higher. You're fine. Like, you have the wiggle room. You can pull some money back out, whatever that looks like in that scenario. but explain all that to them too, so that they're not losing it over 860. And then you know what? Sometimes when you pull back for a few hours, the seller will also be like, "Shit, I need that deal." Fine, 850. We're done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna
Okay.
say, yeah, it's funny. I've had the complete opposite where I've been on like the buy side and we send them offers and they're like, no, you need to come up, you need to come up, you need to come up. And I'm like, we've sent you a really good offer and like we just aren't gonna go any higher than this. Like this is where we're at and we think it's an amazing offer and like no worries about it. Like so be it. And then it will be like a day later and they'll call me. Okay, fine, send it to me again. Like we're doing it. Like all right then. And it's like I told and like every time I go back to my buyers, they're like, "Oh, I'm so can't believe we didn't make it work." And I'm like, I don't say anything because I don't want to like, you know, but I'm like always in the back of my head, I'm like, this guy's gonna call me. I know he
Yeah.
is. And it's happened every single time. It truly has.
You gotta know, like, if they have nothing going on, then don't push it. Just let the seller think about it, let your buyers think about it. Everybody's gonna come to a conclusion that works. The sellers are not gonna lose this. If they've been waiting 2 months for a buyer, they don't want to lose the sale. Right? 2, 3 months down the road, 4 months now. Some of these are sitting, like they don't want to lose it. They're not gonna lose it over 10 grand. So you need to understand their motivation, also like how long they've been on the market. But yeah, sometimes a pause is good for everybody because it can get heated. And I've had like $1.5 million sales. Like I've had them fight over $5,000, and it drives me absolutely insane. Like guys, this makes no effing sense. Like everybody just needs to chill out and go have a beer and we'll get back to the negotiating table because like $5,000 on 1.5 million does not make any difference to either side, literally. But they will dig their like the rich guys will dig their heels in more than anybody. It's crazy. It could be 2.5 million. They're like, I want 255. All right, like we'll talk about it again. Like they will dig in because they a lot of those guys too, when you get the high end, they're CEOs and COOs and they negotiate for a living and they do not lose. Like that's their mantra. Like I do not lose negotiation. It's crazy. So stay calm and confident. So definitely be confident. To be confident, you gotta do your research ahead of time and write good offers. Like you submit an offer that is not well written, needs to be a bunch of changes. You got initial 5 places. It's not a good place to start. It's like write good offers. If you're a new agent, check them with your mentor or one of us. Like let's check them over. Make sure you're submitting good offers that are well written and everything's filled in properly. Know when to walk away. So understand your buyer's goals, the top end of their budget, understand where the market is and what else might be out there for them. So if it's something like I have to have this house, then keep your guys in it. Don't lose it over 5 grand. If it's like, this one down the street is pretty good too. Maybe we can revisit that. Well, now you got more motivation to walk away from the negotiating table. And like Joel pointed out, a lot of the time sellers coming back to you in this market. And above all else, make sure your clients are satisfied. So you need to follow the direction first and foremost, but you can guide them as much as possible. Questions? Good, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Next week on site at my new acreage,